hopped on. So if you missed our pre-meeting program, you can still watch it on our YouTube channel, and it'll be posted there in the near future. And I'm going to go ahead, try to bring up our slides. Here we go. Too many windows open. All right. So yeah, welcome everyone. As chair of the 34th Democrats, I'm officially calling the January 2024 meeting of the 34th District Democrats to order at 7:31 p.m. As a reminder, our January pop-up social, since we're not meeting this month in person for our membership meeting, you can always still join a 34th in person each month at one of our pop-up socials. And this month, Friday, January 19th at 5:30 p.m. So mark your calendars at Locust Cider at Alki Beach. It's a great place. They have video games too, if you're into that. You can see here on the screen the proposed agenda for our meeting this evening that was previously sent to PCOs and members. However, there is an addition to this agenda. It's been amended to include a candidate spotlight for King Conservation District candidates, those that are present, since this is a fast turnaround election right off the new year and also under publicized. So we wanted to give the candidates a chance to share about themselves before we have the endorsement vote later. And the election for that starts January 23rd. So always a fast turnaround on that one. So with that being said, is there any discussion on the agenda as amended?
I will move the adoption of the agenda as amended.
All
For a
right.
second.
Are there any objections to the adoption of the agenda? Any objections? All right, hearing no objections, the agenda passes by unanimous consent, or motion, I should say, and the agenda is adopted. Here you can see our minutes from our November meeting. These were previously sent to PCOs and members and produced by our secretary, Steve. Any corrections to the minutes? Any motion?
I move the adoption or approval of the minutes.
I'll second.
Any objections to the adoption of the minutes from the November 8th meeting? All right, hearing no objections, the motion passes by unanimous consent and the minutes are adopted. I'm going to now turn things over to
Excuse me, who seconded?
Sorry.
Chris. Bunny did.
Oh,
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry about that. All right, I'm going to turn things over to our treasurer, Julie, to share November and December financial data. Julie.
hi, everybody. Our beginning balance in November was $11,929.32. Our income was $1,084.47. Some of that was for the holiday service project, as well as memberships and outreach events. Our expenses were $308.80, which included our in-person meeting in November, the holiday party, annual awards, etc. Our ending balance was $11,704.99. Any questions? Okay, December.
I have a question.
Oh, you do? Okay,
Yes,
go ahead.
Put my hand up. This is Chris. Of the 334 members that we have, how many are, whether they're PCOs or not, are contributing members, have a membership, is what I'm going to say, to the 34?
Sorry, and that is a number that's from last year, so that is not this year's number. Hannah, I don't know if Hannah may not be on because I know she's preparing for the endorsements, but Hannah, if you're on, are you able to answer that question?
I don't know that number like off the top of my head, but I'd be happy to pull it and share it maybe after this meeting since I've got my computer going for the endorsement vote verification stuff.
Okay.
So Graham, the 334 is not as of 12/31/23.
It is as of 12/31/23, but I think if I just wanted to clarify that that's not the number for 2024.
Correct.
Oh,
Correct.
oh, sorry. I thought you meant the, I think Chris was asking how many people are financially contributing members, if I understood correctly.
Yes, that's
And
what it
that
is.
number,
Yeah.
that number, I don't know. As of yesterday, we have 50 members who have submitted their forms. So any folks on the call who haven't submitted that form for 2024, probably jumping the gun a little bit on the agenda, but go fill that out.
Well, from
Okay.
what I've been getting, and I have like a 2-inch thick papers for each month, there's probably about as many that are signing up for 2024 for the whole year as there are ones that do a monthly commitment for the whole year. So I'm getting a lot of new ones is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And the old ones are also doing their thing.
So Chris, to partially answer your question, we have 50 members so far this year.
New ones? You mean new, correct?
Renewed.
Paying.
Including PCOs?
No.
Start a question.
No.
All right.
Okay. All right.
December?
I have a quick question. I'm a PCO and a paying member. How do I get counted?
So we put a summary number at the bottom that's combined, and then we have separate lists. So Hannah, maybe next month we can just share a split out of PCOs members. and
Yeah.
combined. Okay.
Would be happy to do that, and then we'll have a full month's worth.
Okay.
So you're saying you would do how many PCOs we have, how many members?
Yeah, we'll split it up and we'll show each group.
Cool. Okay, yeah,
okay.
that's awesome.
Okay, ready to move on? All right, December financial. We started with a beginning balance of $11,704.99. Our income was $3,039.09. That was memberships and holiday service project and bank fees paid. Our expenses were $3,975.40. Of that, we had holiday service project expenses, the food bank donations, and the regular ones. So our ending balance was $10,768.68. That makes sense?
It does.
Yes. Okay. Thank
Any
you.
questions about the financial reports? Any other questions? Good. Well, thank you, Julie. Yeah, and once we have a full month of data on memberships, we'll be happy to share that. In fact, join us next month because we'll definitely be talking a lot about membership.
Hey, Graham.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't get to I'm doing too many things. I can't get to my raise the hand. Just want to call out to everyone too that we are going to be starting the budget process. So if you remember, a couple of years ago, we changed our budget to be April to April. So Graham and Julie and others will be working through that whole process to put together a budget for the fiscal year starting May 1st. Just wanted to make sure everybody knew.
All right, we'll now move to our opening ceremony. So a few things on here: land acknowledgement, VIP recognition. We have a lobby day coming up and candidate spotlights. So I'm going to turn things over. And sorry, this graphic isn't great, but this is the best logo available. But I'm going to ask Rachel to share our land acknowledgement.
Thanks, Graham. On behalf of the 34th LD Democrats, I acknowledge the land on which we stand today as the traditional home of the Coast Salish and Duwamish people, the traditional home of all tribes and bands within the Suquamish, Tulalip, Snoqualmie, Puyallup, and Muckleshoot nations. Without them, we would not have access to this gathering or to this dialogue. I ask that we take this opportunity to thank the original caretakers of this land on which we live and work, who are still here. And as part of the 34th Dems commitment to walking the walk, of taking action that goes beyond simply a verbal land acknowledgement, we are offering ways that you can take action with us by donating to organizations that benefit Indigenous communities in our district and across the country. And the organization that I'm highlighting tonight is the Seattle Indian Health Board. The graphic is right up here on the on the screen, but I'm going to also put it in the chat so that you have access to that as well. Please consider your one-time or monthly donation to this Indigenous-led organization as a way to solidify your commitment to the advocacy of our Indigenous neighbors and to deepen the significance of our land acknowledgement. Thanks, everyone.
So we're now going to move forward to our VIP recognition. This is an opportunity for elected leaders to share any updates they want about their work in their area, their jurisdiction, I should say. And I know that we have a candidate here tonight that is also an elected leader. I'll just note that this is not for electioneering or campaigning activities, and we'll have an opportunity for a candidate spotlight later, but I'll recognize them for this purpose as well. But our first elected leader I want to recognize is Gina Top, our school board member. Gina, anything you'd like to share with the members?
Sure. Thank you, Chair Murphy. I appreciate that. It is wonderful to be here, and I want to just thank the 34th again so much for your support this past election. I won with 89% of the vote here in Seattle, which was very humbling, and I was sworn in at the end of November, so already in the job. One sort of announcement that I have is I have my first community meeting coming up on January 28th at 1:30 p.m. at High Point Library. I will make sure Graham has the information so he can get it out to folks, but would love for folks to come and join and hear about the school district. And also we'll be focusing a little bit on the budget meeting. So please come join, and thank you all again.
Thank you, Gina. I'm now going to recognize Brittany, and I apologize if I say your last name incorrectly, Bale, King Conservation District member, to share any updates she has on the King Conservation District.
Thank you. I'm happy to talk about the work we're doing in the Conservation District right now. Really excited about the year that we have coming up. A few things on the horizon. We'll be renewing our interlocal agreement with the county this year, which is basically the contract that we have with King County that lays out the kind of work that we do and the funding that we are getting from the county. We are also hoping to district our elections, meaning that the 3 elected positions in the county, if everything works out as planned, next year we'll be covering 3 different districts in the hopes that each area in our large and really varied county will be able to elect a representative that is really specific to their needs. We're also continuing to work on election reform so that we can get our elections on the regular ballot. That is sort of a multi-pronged process. We have to work through the state and also through the county for different parts of it, but we're all really dedicated to it, and we're going to keep hammering away and delivering the message that this is what our constituents really want and need. A transparent election. It's predictable, just like the rest of the elections that you see every year. So thank you very much. I will drop my work email in the chat as well. Feel free to reach out to me with any questions or concerns that you have at any time. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm now going to turn things over to Ann Martin, Chair of our Resolutions and Endorsements Committee, to share about an event coming up related to a resolution we passed last year. Ann?
Yeah, actually, to clarify, that is not actually the resolution we passed. This is a lobby day.
Sorry.
Well, that's okay, because I was not clear on that myself. If people are like me, you'll probably get lots of information about lobby days that are coming up. This one in particular is for democracy, which is kind of a policy issue that's on the table nationally as well as within the state. This summer, the state Supreme Court held that ranked choice voting could be used to correct a weakness in the Washington State Voting Rights Act, which was passed in 2018. We have lots of really good rules around voting in this state, but there was a weakness that relates to the representation of underrepresented communities in our state. And the state Supreme Court held that ranked choice voting was a way to correct or one of the correction measures for that weakness. House Bill 2250 and Senate Bill 6156, which are the subjects of the Fair Vote Washington Lobby Day, would both establish consistent standards for implementation of ranked choice voting across the state. You can imagine the chaos that would happen if every jurisdiction has different rules for ranked choice voting. So this is a corrective measure. It has strong Democrat support, Democratic with a big D. So if you're ready to take action on this issue, I hope you will join the Fair Vote Washington Lobby Day on January 16th, a week from today. And I am putting in the chat some links for you. I think I can do that. If democracy is your issue, democracy can use your voice. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris, do you have anything quickly you want to?
Yes, and you said January 16th, but the poster here said
Oh, I'm
17th.
sorry, I meant 17th.
Okay, okay.
Thank you for
I
that correction.
apologize. I was trying to get something that I put in the chat to post. Oh, it posted, I guess. No.
Yes, we posted something in the chat. Yeah.
Okay, there it is. All right, thank you.
All right, so we're going to move on to our candidate spotlights. We've invited each candidate for King Conservation District Position 1 to participate in the spotlight, and they'll have 3 minutes to share about their candidacy. You also should have received, as a member or PCO, in your email this past weekend, access to their King County Democrats questionnaire. Last election, 13,749 eligible voters voted, and that represents 1.05% of all eligible voters. So this is not a huge, or has not been a huge turnout election. So small things can make a big difference in this race. Tonight we have Brittany Bush-Bulla, Aaron Elig, and Eric Goheen. Please correct me if I mispronounce your name, apologies. So I'm going to invite Brittany and then Aaron and then Eric to share about their candidacies. And again, 3 minutes each. Brittany, when you're ready, feel free. I'll take down the slides now and we'll put you in the spotlight and feel free to speak.
Hi again, everyone. Thanks so much for having me here this evening and for the time and attention that you devote to this election. My name again is Brittany Bush-Bulla. My pronouns are they, she, and I am running for re-election to the King Conservation District. I'd like to share a little bit about me first. I was born in Tennessee, where I learned to love nature by playing in it. Swimming in lakes and rivers, fishing with my grandmother, exploring the woods in my backyard. Then my conservation interest was stoked by Girl Scout camping trips and hiking trips, the Save the Whales movement. And as I grew older, I found myself working on organic farms in New Zealand, leading scuba trips in sensitive environments in Vietnam and Egypt. And then when I settled in Seattle, I took on a leadership role at the Sierra Club, where I now have almost a decade of experience working through the political and social, cultural issues around local environmental work. 3 years ago, I was elected to the Conservation District Board, thanks in large part to the support of King County Democrats like you. And I fell head over heels in love with the work. I'm now a veteran of 3 budget cycles, an executive director search, and this year I was chosen unanimously by my peers to serve as board vice chair and auditor. So that's 2 things that I bring to the table: a passion for conservation and experience in the work. I also understand the reality of climate change and its centrality to our work. The fact of the matter is that our climate is changing. Those changes impact everything we do, and we have a responsibility to both prevent further damage to the climate and help protect each other from the climate change impacts that are already here. Fourth, I'm committed to environmental justice. Changes to the environment impact some people faster and more intensely than others, primarily Black and Indigenous people and other people of color. So we must center these neighbors in our work, listen to their knowledge and experience, and push against the barriers between them and the resources they need. This means things such as helping South King County increase its tree canopy, helping Black farmers grow and succeed, and working with area tribes as partners and co-governments. Finally, I'm committed to making the conservation district's work more transparent and accessible. This includes reforming our elections, as I mentioned, so that they're on the regular ballot at a predictable time, with candidates providing the same PDC information as in other races, which is what the voters want and deserve. I've gone to the legislature to tell them that's what my constituents want. I'll do it again as many times as it takes, and no matter how interested they are in listening. I'm also the only board member with an official Twitter account, which I use to share news, meeting links, and engagement opportunities. And when re-elected, I am committing to visiting each LD in the county at least once every year to give updates on the work that we're doing, because you deserve to know what your public money is accomplishing. Local government is my passion. It is what impacts people the most every day of their lives, and the King Conservation District is my true love. I feel so proud every day that I get to support this little special purpose district that could. It's a true honor, and I hope that you'll give me the honor of voting and letting me do it again. Thank you.
Thank you, Brittany. All right. Next up, we have Aaron. Feel free to unmute and.
Yeah. Just wanted to start out by saying thank you to everyone here for giving us the opportunity to introduce ourselves and give a little bit of awareness to this election. I know I emailed a handful of you because I wanted to make sure that I had everything in line, so I was able to speak at this meeting. So thanks for seeing my email, and this is a second spotlight for you. A little bit about me. I am a biologist. I work for Sound Transit. I have a master's in environmental science, and I'm a professional wetland scientist who specializes in restoration and mitigation projects. So that ranges anywhere from residential development, any trails that want to be built, anything that impacts any critical area or buffer. I am an expert in that field, and I take projects from a conceptual idea through permitting, through planning, and implement them to develop final projects. So I'm very familiar with the process and how that applies to the conservation district specifically. A few of the goals and objectives of the conservation district, for those who aren't as familiar, is promoting healthy forests and clean water and access to these open spaces. And I think that's really important. And I think just by the way that this election is ran, and by the way it's talked about, it's small but very important. And there's some work to be done to raise awareness on voting procedures and programs that are offered by the conservation district, and what resources are available to both urban residents and rural communities and anyone else who wants to be involved and get exposure to the environment. I think one thing that differentiates me as a candidate is I bring much more of a technical background. That's what I do for work. It's what I've always done. And a big role of the conservation district is to provide technical resources to people to navigate these different processes that they would otherwise not, because it is a big hurdle. And as a board member, you need to understand that so you can guide policy decisions that help guide that process. And I think a big aspect for me is building awareness, building community. There's a lot of volunteer programs out there, and there's a lot of people who want to be involved and they just don't know how. And I think getting that exposure and getting that message out there to as many people as possible is very important. And
we gotta.
Yeah, I'll leave you with two more things.
Okay.
I have no incentives to be in this race, no financial incentives, no political motivation. I just have a passion for the environment. And I wanted to give a shout out to Chris Porter, who I believe is on this call. The 37th legislative district.
All right, we gotta, sorry, just to be fair and equitable here. All right. All right, next we have Eric. Eric, you have 3 minutes for your spotlight.
Hey guys, thanks. I'll get my clock going. Yeah, my name is Eric Goheen, and I'm running for the King Conservation District, seat number 1. You heard a little bit of complaining about the electoral process in this race. I'm going to complain a little bit about the Zoom process. Yesterday, I was at the 37th, like Aaron was just saying. I thought I was at the 34th. I went on this diatribe about Bob, the Kiwi vendor at the West Seattle Market, and how he owns some property out on Vashon, and how the KCD came out and they found out that the water running off the street was running into his property, and they were able to help him do a tax reassessment and save 80% on his property tax bill. Some of the good work that the King Conservation District does. I'm a user of those services, just like my friend Bob, the Kiwi vendor at West Seattle Market. Some of you guys may know him, and it's part of the reason that I'm running for the KCD. You might also hear that the board is frustrated that there are appointed members. But I believe that we need educated, experienced, and skilled members on the board to help us steer the vision. We do need technical experts. I'm somebody who really believes that we should have Indigenous leadership on it. So I'm talking about using that appointment spot to get an Indigenous person appointed. You'll look up and down the state, and almost every conservation district, everyone that I've looked at, has at least 2 farmers on it. The Soil and Water Conservation District, as it was traditionally called, is a Dust Bowl era program to help protect soil and water resources for farmers. That's why there are 2 farmers on just about every board. I would be that second farmer. The second one is retiring this year. A couple more things about me. I'm the only farmer. I'm the only business owner. I'm the only King County born and raised. I'm the only professional Democratic organizer. I organized from 2012 to 2016 for the Democrats in 2 races in King County, 1 in Whatcom County, and another race in Colorado. And I'm the only person in this campaign talking about using that appointment to elevate an Indigenous person. I'm talking to the Duwamish community and the Muckleshoot tribe. If you identify as one of those people and you want to know who I'm talking to, please reach out to me. The last thing that I want to talk about is Paul Wellstone. I have been trained in the Wellstone way. I'm running a race in that fashion. Paul Wellstone changed the map for politics in Minnesota and the United States in 1990 by organizing the Democratic Farmer Labor Party. And looking ahead to November this year, we're going to need all the help we can get from the full deal. I know guys like Ivan Weiss have been really instrumental in helping bring that to your district. So thanks for your time.
Thank you, Eric. And thank you to all the candidates. Thank you so much for running in this election and bringing awareness to this critical position. And we will, as I shared earlier, get to an endorsement later. And if you still need time, you can find out more about the candidates before we get to that endorsement. But as you can tell, it is officially 2024 election season. So we have our first election this month, as we just shared. We have a presidential primary in March, our August primary, and then our November general election. And I'm hopeful because recent Democratic wins have given me hope, and I know that we are on the right side of issues for folks across Washington State and the American people. But winning in 2024 is not going to be easy, as it is really not easy in any presidential year. And I do approach this year with a sense of high urgency and truly a focus on winning. There is a lot at stake here in Washington and across the US, including fair wages, reproductive freedom, protecting the environment, access to healthcare, and yes, democracy. And here's all of the positions that are on the ballot, on our ballots this year. So a lot of senior leadership, high-level positions that have a tremendous amount of impact. Right now, the top candidates in the highest level races, it's a toss-up election if you look at the polling. So it's not a sure thing. We really need to be on the ready to get our candidates elected, and Republicans across the state are ready to get their voters out. They're ready to put initiatives on the ballot that I think will be enticing not only to their constituencies, but also maybe confusing and seemingly enticing to those that are independents and even maybe some Democrats. No hidden gas tax, that is something people see every single day, gas prices. So these things are going to be on the ballot. Repealing the capital gains tax that has provided necessary funding for education only affects a very, very, very small percentage of wealthy people, but people are going to hear tax cuts. So Republicans have their game plan. We need to have ours. And really, for us, it's about, especially in Washington State, it's about winning King County. If we can have a blowout again in King County, we can win this election in Washington State for Democrats across the state. And we're absolutely critical here in the 34th in getting out that vote. So if you haven't already, I strongly encourage you to become a PCO. And like me, if you have a PCO in your neighborhood, you can always take on an adjacent precinct and become a coordinator. Last year, I canvassed and provided materials to my neighbors that were in the next precinct over. So if you're interested, please email Nick. His email is below. You can also go to the link. PCOs are just absolutely critical at getting out the vote in our area, but obviously we can all canvass. And then if you have not already, although many of you have, and I'm super happy and excited about that, please contribute membership dollars, become a member. We can combine our resources and have a significant impact for vulnerable Democrats in the 34th and surrounding areas. I'm committed in this year's budget to putting more resources towards getting funds to candidates directly. I believe they can do the best with the dollars that we give them. So that's super important that we move money and get it where it needs to go, most importantly. So please renew your membership if you haven't already. And then lastly, let's be sure that we endorse as soon as we can strong Democrats. And we're going to be doing that tonight so that we can urgently share our resources and advocacy on their behalf. We cannot support candidates until we endorse them. So that's why we need to do that, so we can help get out the vote and ensure Democratic unity and victory this year. So speaking of endorsements, we are going to move into consideration for 3 positions that are on the ballot this year. King Conservation District, Position 1, Washington's 7th Congressional District seat, and Washington's U.S. Senate seat, both held by longtime incumbents. While we're counting votes for King Conservation District, we will also hear a presentation from our friends at the Transit Riders Union on local efforts to raise the minimum wage. But before we get started with our endorsements, I just want to share a summary of our rules. So in order to be endorsed, a candidate has to yield 60% of the vote to win an endorsement on the first ballot. If only one candidate, there's either a winner or no endorsement. If there are two candidates, there's either a winner, no endorsement, or we can consider a dual endorsement. And then if there's more than two candidates, the top two candidates will go to a runoff if no one gets 60% of the first vote. And if neither of those candidates win an endorsement, we'll then move to a ballot we'll consider a motion for a dual endorsement. So a motion has to be made for dual endorsement. So many candidates usually come and share who they'd like to make a motion for them in advance, and I will call on those folks that have raised their hand and offered to make a motion for candidates. And then folks can, and same for seconding their candidate. If no one has made a motion and you hear a candidate that you'd like to make a motion for and no one's made a motion for them, you can raise your hand and I'll call on you. We will have then speeches once all the candidates are once all the available candidates, eligible candidates, I should say, there's been motions made for them, we'll have speeches. So we'll have one speech and the person who made the motion can make the speech for their candidate. And then they can also, the person who made the motion can also cede their time, all or any of their time, to the candidate, only the candidate. And then if anyone wants to speak against a candidate, they'll have 2 minutes. And we'll do that until there have been 4 total speeches. If no one makes a speech against a candidate, the speeches will close. Each vote will be 2 minutes or less. We'll have a timer. It's your responsibility to vote during that window. If you want to raise a point of order, you can raise your thumbs up or signal the chair in some way. And then if you can't vote we'll be using Zoom poll and ballot to validate votes. If you can't vote that way, you can text your vote to 206-290-4076. That's 206-290-4076. Include your first and last name in the text so we can validate your eligibility to vote. Okay, so our first endorsement is for King Conservation District number 1. The chair recognizes Chris Porter.
Thank you, Graham. I'd like to nominate for endorsement Brittany Bush-Boulay.
All right, the motion's been made for Brittany Bush-Boulay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Who's made
Bunny
the
Hatcher.
Bunny Hatcher has made the second. All right. The chair recognizes Preston Anderson. I don't know if he's on.
Yeah, I'm on. I'd
Okay.
like to make a motion to for consideration for the endorsement for Mr. Aaron Ellig.
Okay, motion's been made for Aaron Ellig. The chair recognizes Carla Rogers.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Carla Rogers for Aaron Ellig.
Those are all the motions I'm aware of in advance. Would anyone else like to make a motion at this time for any of the eligible candidates? Anyone else like to make a motion?
I will make a motion to nominate for endorsement Eric Goheen for King Conservation District Position 1.
Okay, and sorry, I could not see who was that?
Rachel.
Rachel, okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that. This is Art Chippendale.
Art Chippendale, okay. All right, those are all the eligible candidates. So we'll now move to speeches. The chair recognizes Chris Porter to make his speech for Brittany Bush-Boulay.
Thank you,
In 2
Graham.
minutes.
Oh, thank you, Graham. All of you just heard the absolute passion and drive that Brittany has for the Conservation District. It was an honor to work with her on the district when I was a supervisor, and she embodies many of the things that we hold near and dear to us in the 34th. She's been doing the work, she is doing the work, and she deserves our endorsement. So it is with the highest level that I can raise that we clearly endorse a dedicated and servient supervisor of the Conservation District who will address all of the problems that she's talked about, and I cede the rest of my time to Brittany.
Thank you, Chris. I really appreciate that, and I really appreciate you. A few more things I will add real quick. In the time that I have served, our organization has gone from a state of turbulence and financial uncertainty to being a trusted, financially stable organization with a satisfied staff and plans for growth. Our employee union comes to every meeting with positive reports to the board, which I'm very, very proud of. We've become a model for other conservation districts around the state in leadership and equity and employee retention. And I'm so proud of the volume and quality of work that we're doing. For example, in 2021 and 2022, we brought almost 300 acres of King County farmland back into production. It means everything to me. It means everything to our staff. And I would really, really love to continue this work for another 3 years. I'm not done. And I hope that you will give me the chance to continue what I love.
All right. Is there any, would anyone like to make a speech against the motion and opposed to the motion? Any speeches? Any speeches? Okay. The chair now recognizes Preston Anderson to speak to his motion for Aaron Ellig.
I would like to yield my time to Aaron, and Aaron can add additional information to his already presented introduction.
Okay, 2 minutes.
All right, thank you, Preston. Just to continue the message that I already had, I think the Conservation District is a very important piece in King County, and it's underutilized, and I believe that I can help complement the board that's already in place and help promote a lot of their goals and objectives that they're trying to meet. It complements my professional work, and I think I am one of the best candidates for the job. It's exactly what I do. It's what I'm passionate about. I live, breathe it. I'm not doing it for any reason. I was asked today, we met with the Conservation District Executive Director, and she asked, why do I want to run for this position? And it's a great question. And I saw that they were seeking a board seat, and you know, I volunteer regularly with the Conservation District, planting trees and helping with their native plant program, and doing restoration projects, and they're saving the orcas, which is one of the programs they offer, which is basically code for pulling blackberries. But I really enjoy all the work that they do. I hope to have your endorsement. I think we can do great things in the next 3 years, and that's all I got.
Thank you. Any speeches opposed to the motion? Any PCO member would like to speak against this motion to endorse? The chair now recognizes Rachel Glass to speak to her motion for Eric Goheen.
Thank you. I would like to cede my time to the candidate.
Thank you, Rachel and Art. Yeah, again, Eric Goheen running for this position. Really happy to get acknowledged for the endorsement. Yeah, I just want to talk a little bit about the big issues on my campaign. In 3 minutes, I couldn't really do it. But King County has a lot of issues that we're working on. One of those things is preventing the big West Side fire. Is like a huge plank in my campaign, that the Conservation District can be an opportunity for the government to reach out to rural landowners and start creating trust as a non-regulatory voluntary agency, just from like a little bit of PR and getting out there and meeting with people who own, you know, large plots of land out east in the county where it is pink and red, and get them in touch with government services and start building that trust. It's really been eroding, and we have really bad government cleavages or electoral cleavages between Democrats and Republicans, and we have to find some middle ground. I think I'm the candidate who can help do that. The other thing is the KCD like really has it out for farmers. This election reform that they're talking about is going to disenfranchise farmers by putting it on the regular ballot. You can't have a farmer, somebody who works the land in September and October, expected to go out and fundraise and doorbell and phone call in September and October. That's when we're doing pea patches or that's when we're doing pumpkin patches and, you know, corn mazes and stuff like that, that a lot of people come out and visit. There's just no time to campaign. The reason that we do it in the winter here is so that farmers can participate. And I think that it's a reflection of the poor organizing of the candidates and the individuals who can't raise their base and can't raise a community in the winter when it's not political season. And I'm doing that. I had 70 people out at my kickoff. I'm not afraid to fundraise. I've raised $5,000 for this race in the last week. I'm going to get out there. I'm going to put the votes out, and I want the support of the Democrats to do it because I want to organize with Democrats. Thank you.
All right, we will now open. Oh, sorry. Are there any speeches against this proposed motion? Chris Porter, are you rising to recognize to be speaking against the motion?
Yeah. Yes, I rise to speak
2
against
minutes.
the. Oh, thank you. I rise to speak against the motion of nominating Eric Goheen. I take exception to his point of saying that KCD has it out for farmers. In the entire time that I was on that board, we worked tirelessly to pull in farmers. And again, even restoring farming land back to its use. KCD, of all the programs that it has its highest interest centered around farmers. And they are an integral part of how that board runs and the perspective that we take. I also take exception to poor organizing. The candidates that run for this position are doing the best they can, typically during a time of the year when it is very cold, sometimes snowy. You miss meetings, you do the best that you can. I think this reflects a lack of understanding and sliding of the district that spends a great deal of its time trying to be inclusive, working towards greater inclusion. And that includes farmers. And farmers have always been a part of what KCD does. And it just shows his lack of understanding of this district. Thank you.
All right, since there was a speech against the motion, the chair now recognizes Art Chippendale for 2 minutes to speak in favor of the motion. Art, you cannot cede your time under our rules to the candidate.
Thank you. Let's see. I just want to, all I can do, I don't really know him personally, but based on what he has said and about his approach to the district, I think he brings a lot of interest and expertise and experience to that district, and I think he will serve us well. I think he will serve his constituents well, and I think he'll serve farmers well. I like the fact that he comes from at least an electoral background from Paul Wellstone, somebody I admire greatly. And everything he has said about the district's work and his, as he perceives his role in it, I think will perform well. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other members or PCOs that would like to rise and speak against this motion? Anyone that would like to rise to speak against this motion? All right.
Graham, that's no one else can speak against. It's 2 and 2.
Right, that was 1 in favor, 1 against, 1 in favor. So there's 1 more against. But it doesn't matter. No one wants to rise to speak. All right, so we will now open the ballot. The ballot will, are we okay opening the ballot?
Yes, we are.
All right, it'll be open for 2 minutes. Please vote. As a reminder, a candidate needs to receive 60% of the vote to win the endorsement outright. If we have to go to runoff, it'll be the top 2 candidates. And Hannah will.
Graham, are we supposed to text? Can we text someone to text our vote if we don't have a
let me
ability
pull
to
that up
vote?
again. Thank you for the reminder. So if you need to text your vote, it is to 206-290-4076, 206-290-4076. Please include your full name and the candidate that you're voting for. And then we will tally these votes and determine whether we need to move to a runoff for the top two candidates.
Hey, Graham, one clarifying question. This is just for a member vote, right? I shouldn't
Yes.
click any buttons. Okay, got
And
it.
if you accidentally do, we will disregard your vote anyway. So we have a system here too.
We've got a
Just a re-
system in the back,
just a-
but please don't. Thanks.
Yeah, just a reminder that if you have not yet rejoined the organization, you cannot vote unless you're a PCO.
So 30 more seconds to either text your vote or vote using the Zoom ballot.
Excuse me, Art. Your microphone is on.
I'll mute him.
Okay.
All right, 10 more seconds. And we will now close the ballot. So while we're waiting for the votes to be counted, we do have a program, a brief program, and we have limited time for this. So if we do have questions, it'll have to be a limited number of questions. But last year, we passed resolutions in support of raising the minimum wage in Burien and unincorporated areas of King County. And if we're able to do this, everywhere across the 34th will have a higher minimum wage than the state minimum wage. So I do hope and believe this is achievable in 2024. But with that in mind, we've asked our friends at the transit riders unions who have been at the forefront of this issue, really driving these efforts to share the progress in these two jurisdictions. So please, and also across our community. So please welcome Artie from the Transit Riders Union. And Artie, your slides are up whenever you're ready to go.
Thank you. And we're probably going to move through the slides pretty quickly. Some of it, I think maybe Katie presented some of this info. So I'm going to cover some basics just so people are kind of familiar with it. And then I think end with a little bit of hopefully a conversation and an invitation. So it'll be mostly just some quick updates, and then it's fine if we have a short discussion now because we actually have a meeting tomorrow that I'll invite you to. But I'll start with the slide here. That's perfect. These are the new minimum wages as of 2024. So they go up every year with the cost of living. The new minimum wage statewide is $16.28. That is for unincorporated and Burien and all the cities that aren't SeaTac, Tukwila, and Seattle. Seattle's at $19.97. Tukwila is at $20.29, starting. Oh, that's actually a typo there. I've updated the slide. That's for large businesses, $20.29 right now. There's a July 1st still phase-in period, but that should delete that bit there. It's $20.29 right now. That's the highest in the nation, actually. 1971 is SeaTac for hospitality transportation jobs, and then over 30 is the wage that you need to support a family, right? Even a one-bedroom in King County. Again, these wages are slightly different due to basically when they pass and then the cost of living adjustment calculations. But you'll see that the Seattle, Tukwila, and SeaTac are all at about $20 an hour. And $20 an hour they're all pretty much connected to the SeaTac 15 campaign, which was the first to pass. And so we're talking about 20. What we're really talking about is $15 back when people remember the 15 for Seattle campaign and 15 for SeaTac. So it's $20 now. That's how much inflation we've had since we all saw our first $15 an hour minimum wage sign. So we can go to the next slide. We won't necessarily need to go through all this stuff. This was just some background. We surveyed workers in South Center and Tukwila, and that kind of guided our work a little bit. I think these reflect a lot about the situation people are living with in South King County in general. You can go to the next slide. Am I frozen? Oh, can you go to the next? Yeah, sorry.
Sorry about that.
No, you're totally fine. I'm going really quickly through it because a lot of this is, I think, background info, and I think most of it, what people want to know is where are these campaigns are at now. But this is some background just so people know what these look like. this is the Tukwila minimum wage law, and this is actually now copied over to what Renton's working on. When we have been advocating for this in Burien and unincorporated King County, we've been largely pulling from Tukwila. So while this is the Tukwila law, this is kind of the baseline that we are trying to get spread elsewhere. So including unincorporated and Burien. Whether we get these things or not, this is what we're working from in Tukwila. So we have large employers, they start off with the higher minimum wage, which is again over $20 now in Tukwila. There's a couple year phase in for mid-sized employers. Very small employers are exempt in Tukwila. One amendment we've made in our fight for Burien is that we have been actually pushing for this exemption to be removed. And so while we did it for political expediency in Tukwila, it's largely large businesses in Tukwila. And then there's access to hours in Tukwila also, which means basically before they hire new employees, they offer the hours that are available to current employees. I want to touch a little bit on that small employer piece. This is fine to stay on this slide because these are part of the principles here. So I'll just cover first that kind of third bullet point, and I'll kind of work out of order. But the reason why we want to cover as many workers as possible and remove that small business exemption in other jurisdictions is because we actually believe what we say, that workers getting a raise is good for the economy. The customers at small businesses are often workers at small businesses and vice versa, right? So we actually believe what we say, and we actually think that it's not a good business environment when some employers are competing with each other to lower wages, while other large employers, we know that like Amazon, for example, raised their minimum wage to 15 nationwide well before they ever had to. Large employers don't really care about paying a higher minimum wage. It makes them competitive for hiring workers. And we know that staffing is actually the bigger concern for a lot of businesses. And so we think raising that floor for all employers, and so that the employers who want to give their employees raises aren't competing on an unlevel playing field. So that's one. There's also now been a lot more opposition since we passed this in Tukwila. We had none. And when we've been fighting for this in Burien and now in unincorporated, and also I guess it's worth mentioning that Renton is also on the ballot this year, there has been vocal opposition. And these are the things that they've been fighting against. So they've been fighting to introduce a tip penalty to the minimum wage. There isn't one in Tukwila. There isn't one in Seattle. There is no tip penalty anywhere in Washington State, which is great. There was for a phase-in period only in Seattle. And what we want to avoid is, if you know about the minimum wage in other states, some of them are like $2.35 minimum wage, for example. We want to move away from that system, which introduces a lot of, gender discrimination, racial discrimination, age discrimination from tipped workers who are dependent on customers for wages. Instead, we think if you do the time at work, you should get a decent wage, and that should be the baseline. So we want to hold strong on that. We want to make sure that franchises are considered large businesses if they're part of a large franchise. That's been a fight since we've been doing this campaign. One of the ways large companies fight unionization is doing a franchise model, and we don't want to reward that by then also having them pay their workers less. And then strong enforcement is another key component. While we have primarily in smaller cities, like Tukwila, it's going to be private right of action. We do have penalties listed out in there. Unincorporated King County, there might be some room for, like funding actually enforcement programs, things like that. We could probably just skip the next slide. I think people hopefully know we wanted Tukwila. And so the active campaigns right now, as we know, is we've been fighting in Burien for raising the minimum wage, and we've been fighting for unincorporated King County through the city council in Burien and through the King County Council in King County to raise them. So is your hand raised, Carla? I've been really bad about checking for hands. You're muted. I'm sorry.
No worries. I literally just raised it a moment ago.
Oh, okay. Do you have a
just going to ask a quick question about Burien with the council that is now in place, unfortunately. Do you all have any indication of whether that's going to go forward or not?
It is basically how I'll be wrapping up this is kind of as the status of these, and so I will talk about it. But yeah, that is the main concern about Burien. I'll start with the unincorporated King County first, because it's a little bit more positive. That was actually in committee and actually was originally scheduled to be voted on and passed out of committee and potentially passed in full by the end of last year. They stalled it to do a couple potential amendments. I know that there's some things they're looking at doing, such as a micro business exemption, which is even smaller than our exemption in Tukwila. Oh yeah, we're on that slide. That's perfect. Okay. You'll see that the next date is to be determined for unincorporated King County. As of today, so this is after I sent the slides to you, sorry, Graham. Today, it sounds like we have a date, which looks like it will be February 20th for the committee. I will get that like confirmed with the King County Council as soon as possible. But it seems like February 20th is the date. It seems like most likely that they will probably vote on it out of committee. That would be a day that if you want to pencil in it on the calendar, I'll take it the time. I think they meet at 9 a.m. It's their normal committee meetings, and it's not on the agenda yet, but that's what we met with Zahale's office today, and that seems to be the date they're aiming for. And so that'll be a day where we're probably going to ping you for turnout. And so that's alive. It's well. That bill looks like it's going to be strong. No worries there. Raise the wage rented. I'm aware that's not in this district, but it's worth mentioning that I'm sure people have wide networks. They will be looking for volunteers, but they're on the February ballot. And that does impact our work in Burien, which doesn't sound like it makes sense. But to your question, Carla, will it pass? For better or worse, there is a risk that it can pass because of the rent and minimum wage. So let me try to explain, and then this will be our invitation to the meeting tomorrow. Burien City Council did change, and it got worse. The majority of the council supported it last year. There's still some council members on the Burien City Council that support it now. However, what we're hearing from the opposition in Renton isn't an outright opposition to passing it. What seems like a potential risk is that they will pass
You mean
it.
Burien? Sorry, you said Renton.
Well, no, in Renton.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, no, but this is relevant because it's the same lobbying groups that are fighting for both. There is a PAC formed in Renton, and what they're saying and they oppose it in Renton is they aren't saying they just oppose raising the minimum wage. They want a more reasonable version or whatever. So a lower wage with a tip penalty. Some are talking about exempting restaurants entirely. So what that means is it's possible that business interests will actually work with the conservative Burien City Council members, and they may pass a version that includes a lot of like red line things that even our union allies will not get behind, and I don't think that we would necessarily get behind. So there is a complicated situation in Burien where it is possible that the city council might pass something, and it's possible the city council passes something that we don't support. That's a risk. And so this leaves us in a precarious position where we have a couple paths forward, which is we do push city council to pass something, and we try to get them to do the best version we can. There's the kind of Hail Mary pass of trying to put together a ballot measure between now and our goal would obviously have to be to get the signatures by end of June. I think beginning of July is when we have to have the signatures in. That's expensive. It's a lot of door knocking. It's a good organizing opportunity, and we know that would be a good version since we would write it. And then there's also the option of just holding off because the current city council is likely to pass something that we would find too toxic if we push them to do something. There's really a complicated situation in Burien that I wish it were a little bit cleaner like it is in King County. It seems like it's going to pass well there. I will pause there, and then I would love to hear if anyone has an initial response, even though we probably won't be able to go back and forth much. That will be the draw to come to this meeting tomorrow. It's at 6 p.m. tomorrow, where we're going to dig in on this Burien situation a little bit more. But I'd love to hear people's initial just kind of temperature check on that, like how people feel. If you have relationships with the current city council, I don't know if you have a read on the situation as good as me or better. I don't know, I'll just pause there for thoughts or questions.
This is Art.
I think we have time for maybe 2 quick questions. Art,
You have a question? Yeah. Where is the meeting?
It's on Zoom, and I popped the Zoom info in the chat.
Okay, thank you. And second question is, do you know which committee is in King County is going to be?
It's the tree committee, which I can't remember what those all stand for, but it's tree.
Okay.
And I'll put my email in the chat. If you have any questions, feel free to email me.
Thank you.
And Roxanne, last question.
I just wanted to say thank you for including on there the hours, making sure that current employees are given hours rather than businesses hiring a bunch of part-time people with no benefits. Hope you can push that one real good. Thanks.
Yeah, I should note that while there isn't a written draft in Berrien at all, they haven't gotten to that step yet in Berrien. The unincorporated King County version does not have that in there. The Renton one does have it in there because they've taken the Tequila version. So if we did a ballot measure, that might be something we want to make sure we actually get to include. It's one of the first things that gets chopped when they start drafting.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Artie.
Thank you so much for having me.
And things sound more promising in King County Council right now than maybe the other locations, but we'll keep our fingers crossed that things move forward. So thank you. Yeah, and here's the Zoom information if you do want it for the meeting tomorrow at 6 p.m. All right, we are still awaiting results for the King Conservation District, but we'll now move along to consideration of an endorsement for Washington's 7th Congressional District. The chair now recognizes Rachel Glass.
Hello, thank you, Graham. I am here to stand in great favor to endorse Representative Pramila Jayapal for the 7th Congressional District.
Can you make a motion? Just confirming.
Yes.
Okay, so just say you have to make a motion. I
move to nominate Representative Pramila Jayapal for the 7th Congressional District.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Carla Rogers.
Carla Rogers, sorry, I'm having some polling problems, Graham, but I second the motion to nominate Pramila Jayapal for U.S. Representative.
Are there any other motions for candidates for this position? Any other motions? Any other motions? All right, the chair now recognizes Rachel Glass for 2 minutes to speak in favor of her motion.
Okay, thanks, Graham. My biggest reason that I am so impressed by Representative Jayapal is how hard she works and how consistent and persistent she is doing the job of working for her constituents, we the people. This year alone, she sponsored 25 bills. That's an average of more than 2 per month, and co-sponsored 332 bills. So this is just showing how busy and hard she is working. These bills range from advocacy for student borrowers, healthcare for seniors, clean energy, immigrant rights, judicial ethics, LGBTQ+ rights, housing, holding lawmakers to the same standards as their constituents, voting rights, childcare, the list goes on. I am so impressed by how willing and motivated she is to do the work. I never saw her lose hope or back away from her job, even when she got COVID during the pandemic, even when she was threatened and harassed at her home in recent times, even when Donald Trump was elected and many legislators burned out, resigned, or left at the end of their terms because the culture in Congress had become so toxic. Pramila Jayapal personifies courage, tenacity, persistence, and the ability to achieve success despite the obstacles that exist right now in our government. I can't think of a better person to represent our congressional district and to lead us than Representative Pramila Jayapal.
Thank you, Rachel. Would anyone like to speak against the motion to endorse Pramila Jayapal? Would anyone like to speak against the motion? Would anyone like to speak against the motion? All right, being that there are no additional speeches, Carla, I know you said there's some challenges with the polls. Are we able to open up the?
I have logged in separately and conquered the beast. So yes,
Okay.
I can launch.
All right, we will launch the poll for this endorsement. We have 2 minutes.
And you've
to-
explained the
Oh, I'm
second
sorry. Thank you.
ballot.
Yeah.
Sure.
So sorry, just focused on the we're doing Washington 7th Congressional District now, right?
Oh, is that the one you want to do now? Are you ready to go
Yeah.
back to King Conservation?
We haven't
Okay.
announced the results of the other one. So
Okay.
Washington 7th Congressional District, we're gonna launch this ballot. There's only one candidate on the ballot, so the option is endorsement or no endorsement. Again, 60% has to be achieved for an endorsement in this race. Okay, while you're voting, and again, you can text your votes. Let me bring that back up. And you may want to write down this number in case I forget next time, but that is 206-290-4076, 206-290-4076 to text your vote. While this is up, Hannah, are you able to share the results from the last vote for King Conservation District?
Yes, I can. Let me switch screens. So for King Conservation District, the final results are, or from that ballot are, Brittany Bush Boley got 44%, Eric Goheen got 41%, and Aaron Ellig got 15%.
Okay. So thank you for sharing those results. Since no candidate achieved 60% of the vote, we will now move to a second vote in that once this ballot is down. We'll move to a second ballot for the King Conservation District Position 1. It'll be between the two candidates, Brittany Boley and Eric Goheen. To win the endorsement, someone still has to receive 60% of the vote. No endorsement is no longer an option, so you have to either choose between both candidates or not vote. I encourage you to exercise your right to vote, though. And I think that we can take the 7th district ballot down now.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
are you ready to
only
launch?
26 folks have participated, so just want to make sure everybody does vote who is able to vote, but I will end the poll now.
Okay. And then do we want to move? Are you prepared for the
Yep.
next poll? Okay.
I am prepared, thank you. I had a little panic attack, but I'm ready to launch. You ready for me to go?
Yep. So 2 minutes for this second ballot between Brittany Bush Boley and Eric Goheen. A candidate needs to win 60% of the vote in order to be endorsed. If no candidate achieves 60%, we will move to consideration of a dual endorsement.
"27 of 40 have voted."
We still have about 90 seconds remaining on this ballot. And again, alternative voting number still exists, 206-290-4076, if you want to vote alternatively. All right, about 30 seconds remaining. All right, and I think we'll close that we've reached the 2-minute mark. So Hannah will let us know when we have results from this ballot.
It is very close, Graham, so be prepared for a third ballot.
Okay. Was a way to ruin the suspense, Carl. Let's see how it's turns.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, let's move now to consideration for U.S. Senate seat, Washington's U.S. Senate seat. The chair now recognizes Rebecca Rigo for a motion.
I make a motion to endorse Senator Maria Cantwell for U.S. Senator.
All right, is there a second? I don't have a second to call on, so if someone wants a second, please.
I second it. Tamsin seconds.
Tamsin seconds. Steve, you
Oh,
got that?
Graham, you've got a hand up as well.
Okay, yes, Roxanne.
I just have a point of order. I understand just to bring up our bylaws, and I'm bringing them up in this endorsement phase for Cantwell for several reasons. One, at this time, according to the Cascadia Advocate.
Well, there's a motion on the table. We can't really have a speech. You can speak in opposition to the endorsement motion if you'd like.
It's not an endorsement, it's a point of order.
Okay.
I don't think we can move forward with this endorsement. And the reason being, do you want me to say that now or would you like that later?
You can share it now, but
okay.
you follow the bylaws.
At this point, Maria Cantwell holds a double-digit lead over Republican challenger Raul Garcia, and according to the Northwest Progressive Institute, she appears to be on a smooth trajectory to winning. According to our bylaws, just according to our bylaws, to do an early endorsement, the candidate needs to have someone running in opposition to her that is a viable candidate.
That's not stated in the
have that right
bylaws.
now.
What bylaw are you, Gina? Maybe if you want to clarify.
I am not aware of the bylaw that you are referencing, Roxanne. You said it's in our bylaws, I believe.
No,
that we-
that's a county bylaw. I
Yeah.
think she's probably citing. That's King County Democratic Central Committee bylaws.
Okay, thank you. Then I withdraw.
Okay, appreciate that. Okay, so motion is on the table. Any other candidates that would like, any other motions for this? Yes, Preston. You're making a motion?
I'd like to make a motion against the endorsement.
We
Afterwards.
that's out of order. You can
I'm
speak.
sorry, say
against
again?
it.
Yeah,
You can
afterwards.
speak against. Okay.
Okay.
So hold that. Any other motions for a candidate? Any other motions? Okay. The chair now recognizes Rebecca Rigo.
Thanks,
for 2
Graham.
minutes. Yeah.
Awesome. So I make a motion for this endorsement. I think it's an important step for two big reasons. One is in light of the threat to democracy and the razor-thin majority that Democrats have in the Senate today, that we have a Senate seat on the ballot in Washington state. And as Democrats, I think it is essential that we step up in support and not just leave this one be for all the reasons that Graham also included on his slides about these mega trends, mega issues. The second is that Senator Cantwell has fiercely shown up both for Washington state and our country in this term alone. She was extremely influential in crafting some of the key provisions of the Inflation Reduction Act and the key architect of the CHIPS and Science Act. So this is a person who is seen as a leader in the Senate on some key issues, energy, climate, jobs, that are important to our livelihoods here in Washington state, to our environment, and the United States. So for that reason, both the larger trend and importance of standing up for democracy and democratic values, and in recognition of her advocacy for Washington state, I motion that we endorse Senator Maria Cantwell.
All right. The chair, I'm assuming, Preston, this is going to be you. The chair now recognizes Preston Anderson for speech against this motion.
Yeah, I'm making a motion against this endorsement. I think we should postpone this endorsement until later in the year. I think it's incumbent upon us all on the 34th to really look at the merits of Senator Cantwell's candidacy, particularly in light of what's going on in the Gaza conflict and the indiscriminate bombing from Israel, a close ally of ours, which we have some degree of control to manage the cavalier and indiscriminate bombing. So I'm making a motion to not endorse Maria Cantwell at this time, and be happy to talk with other folks offline as to my position.
Well, you're not making a motion, you're just speaking against this motion, right? Just to clarify.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I just don't want to confuse folks. Okay. You still have a minute and a half. Do you want to?
Okay.
Are you good?
Yeah, I'm also speaking as a veteran. I was deployed twice in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. Maria Cantwell was one of those senators that supported the Iraq War early on and really didn't give it any kind of thorough thought or opposition. I think right now we're in the same situation where politicians are just being transactional, and it's really disconcerting. I'm hoping that folks in the 34th will hold our politicians to a degree of accountability and integrity. And anybody else is welcome to speak to that motion as well.
Thank you. All right, since there was a speech against the motion on the table to endorse Maria Cantwell for senator, Tamsin Spangler, as the person who seconded the motion in favor of this endorsement, you have 2 minutes. You can also cede your time to any member or PCO.
Thank you, Graham. Thank you, Chair. I would just like to say that just one thing that is most important to me right now is to be sure that all of our Democratic candidates remain in their seats. I don't see why we should not endorse Maria Cantwell early, because I'm sure we're going to endorse her later, because we're not going to have any other choices. And I don't want to take a chance of ever losing a Democratic seat at this time. And maybe all of our senators have different things we don't agree with, but I think we have to think of how strong we can be as Democrats. And that's really all I have to say.
Okay. Would anyone else like to speak in opposition of the endorsement? Roxanne, your hand is up.
Yes, I would.
You have 2 minutes.
Okay, in concurring with Preston, she has consistently voted against a ceasefire, and what's going on in the Gaza Strip right now is terrifying. The last speaker stated that she has no real challengers. That's true. At this point in time, Maria Cantwell has no challenger that is going to get anywhere near her. So there's no need for an early endorsement. The questionnaires that go out to candidates to give us information about what their ideas are for their next term haven't even been written yet. I would like to hear more from Maria Cantwell. I'd like to give her the opportunity to ask for our vote and to make some commitments as to what she's going to be doing in the future for our state and for our area. So basically at this time, we really don't have a need to early endorse Cantwell. I would like again to hear from her, have her fill out the questionnaire, give us some more information about what she's going to do. In other words, I'd like her to earn our endorsement, not just give it away, because as I said earlier, she doesn't need it at this point in time. We can endorse her a few meetings out after we get more information from her campaign. Thank you.
All right, the speeches are now closed. We only allow 4 speeches, so the motion is on the table. And Carly, were you able to open a ballot for this endorsement? All right, so 2 minutes on this endorsement. Once again, it's a sole endorsement consideration. less than a minute remaining to vote.
Hey, Graham, when we're done with this voting round, I am ready to announce the results from the Washington 7th Congressional District.
Okay, I think you can go ahead and do that.
Okay, well, happy to announce that with 100% of the eligible vote, we have endorsed Representative Jayapal for the 2024 election.
Awesome. Thank you. Do we have the other results, or are we still waiting on those?
We are still waiting on those, just a few things. I appreciate everyone who is on and waiting. It just always takes a little bit longer this first time around. You all might be surprised by how many typos you all have in your names and things. We've got a cross-reference in the background, so thank you so much for your patience.
All right, so why don't we move to good of the order while we're waiting? Any good of the orders for this evening? Any good of the orders?
I do.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say thank you again to everyone who is here on the Zoom tonight, who was part of the service project. It was such a giant, huge success, and I am so humbled and just completely, I have so much love in my heart for everyone who participated, whether it was buying a coat or some warm clothes for the children who benefited from this service project, or whether you gave a cash donation, or whether you stayed up late or woke up early to bake food and make a delicious hot meal. It was just a spectacular event. And so I just want to thank you again. I cannot thank you all enough for those of you who were participating in this. So onward to next year, and you'll be hearing from me.
Thank you, Rachel. The chair recognizes Chris Porter.
Thank you, Graham. Two things. The King Conservation District also has an appointed seat open, which one of the candidates spoke to. And the applications for that are due before March 31st. If you go to kcd.org and follow the links, it'll lead you to that application if you're interested in the appointed seat for the King Conservation District. Two, as we get more into winter weather, I want to remind people how much more that presses on our local food banks to provide the services and nutrition and support for the community. And so if you have the capacity, although food donations are never turned down, when you give cash, that really allows them to address the needs of the communities that they're serving in these food banks, remembering that during the winter too, their services are even more crucial. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Dean Shui.
I would just like to remind everybody that there are a lot of Democrats who live outside of the USA, and there is an active organization called Democrats Abroad, and there is a website called votefromabroad.org that has all the necessary information about how US citizens who live outside of the USA can get organized and register to vote and request a ballot. It is important in the state of Arizona and in Georgia, overseas voters were greater than the margin of victory of Biden. in 2020. So if you know anybody who is living outside the USA, or you know people such as university students who are doing a semester abroad, I encourage you to make sure that they get registered to vote and request a ballot before they leave. Thanks very much. That website again is Vote From Abroad, those 3 words, .org, which has all the information and forms they need to register if they're not registered and to request a ballot. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Ann Martin.
Thank you. I wanted to thank Rachel for the work that she did on our service project. I was unable to attend and to help on the day of the event, and I just know that she put in so much time on that. And with regard, I'm going to add, with regard to the overseas voting, King County has a wonderful system of alternative format voting. And if people are registered in King County, they can vote in all different ways, either as long as they're registered by email, by fax, or by mailing in a vote. So I encourage, if you know somebody who's in that situation, to make sure that they vote. It can happen, and it will be very clearly marked as a legal vote. And finally, on Friday, the White Center Food Bank is having an open house. You should register with the White Center Food Bank if you wish to attend. They've got their new facility, and it will be a pleasure for you to see what they have in store. So White Center Food Bank, Friday the 12th. Thank you.
And lastly, the chair recognizes Carla Rogers for good of the order.
So at the risk of being obnoxious with multiple announcements, I'm going to start by saying I'm your resident freak about reminding everybody how important it is to do whatever you can, whatever you feel passionate about, whatever you have an hour, 2 hours, a week or a month, whatever it is, to get vote out this year. It's a huge, incredibly scary year. I've started text banking to register voters in Texas. Texas is a state that could just very easily fall off the United States at this point with what's going on down there. So Beto, who I supported for president several years ago, is doing a lot of great work down there. And his big focus is registering voters. There's something you can do. It's easy. It doesn't mean you have to knock on a door. It doesn't mean you have to go out of your house even. There is something you can do to step up and get people to vote. So that's number one. Number two, I also want to shout out for everyone to please join me at the monthly socials. We are meeting this month at Locust, which Graham announced at the beginning. It's on the 19th. We have a good crew. We talk about politics. We talk about issues and events around the county, around the city, etc. It's a good time, and it's a great way to get in person. I know a lot of people want to be in person, and we aren't going to be in person every month. Graham's done a great job to get us in person occasionally, but it is expensive to do that. So I urge everyone who wants that one-to-one contact to come out to the socials. I also want to, so my third thing, and I promise I will shut up. My third thing is that the cold weather shelter is opening up in Burien as of tonight, actually. And this is one of my, also my passion projects. I try to volunteer there at least once every time they open. Essentially what this is it's a church. It is opening up their doors and housing overnight anyone on the street that cannot stay outside in these really cold temperatures. There's a lot of ways to help. You don't have to volunteer. You can donate stuff. We serve them a dinner and a breakfast, and it's a really cool thing to do. They have they want coats and warm gear, for folks, again, thinking about folks living on the streets right now. They need warmth. So if you have any used items, I'm happy to hook you up to get you over there to donate, whether it's food or if you want to volunteer. It's a safe environment. I do it with happiness every time. So urge everyone to look into doing something like that during our horrible weather. And with that, I hand it back to Graham.
All right, impressive. Looks like you have a go to the order too.
Yeah, I'll just be really brief. I just encourage folks, it looks like there's still maybe about 40 people on this call. I'll just encourage folks to actively harangue your local politician, your whoever's representing you, your neighbor, whoever, about the Gaza conflict with all the indiscriminate bombing. And I say that as a soldier, having deployed twice, you are given a briefing before you deploy about the conduct of war. So at the very basic level, we're given a briefing about indiscriminate bombing and disproportionate retaliation. And so those are just basics of war. I would encourage folks to read up on kind of the laws of war, kind of, be current with, what's going on over in Gaza and Israel, and push the message. It's just, for me, it's unconscionable. My heart is hurting that there are babies and children over in Gaza that are being dismembered and blown up, and we could do something about it. There's far too many people that have been silent. I'm encouraging you to speak out, please.
All right, Hannah, how are we doing with the vote count?
Okay. Thanks all for sharing everything. I have results to share for the second round of our endorsement voting for the King Conservation District. As Carla has been working hard in the background for all you who don't know, got me the results, and we have, with 71% of the vote, endorsed Eric Goheen for King Conservation District. And I will be back shortly with the Senate results.
No, wait. I thought you said he only had 15 in the first one.
No.
So he had in the first round, he had 41% of the vote, and Brittany Bush Belay had 44%, Aaron Ellig had 15%, and in the second round, which was between Eric Goheen and Brittany Bush Belay, Brittany Bush Belay, they had 44%. Brittany Bush Belay got 39%, and Eric Goheen got 71%.
Okay, I'm sorry, I flipped it. Thank you.
All good, thank you.
Congratulations, Eric, on your endorsement. And Hannah, you said you'd be back with us for the...
Yeah, just gotta run things through one more time. And then I'll be back in hopefully about like 2 minutes. Okay.
So just a couple announcements while we are waiting for the last endorsement. And yeah, thank you everyone for speaking tonight and sharing your perspectives. I know it's not always easy to get up and share in that way. So our next membership meeting will be on February 21st. That's a change from the second Wednesday. It'll be the third Wednesday for in the spirit of love, which is Valentine's Day, February 14th. We're just going to shift that meeting a week to February 21st in case some of you have booked any plans for that night. And then our next board meeting will be on Wednesday, January 17th at 7 p.m. Feel free to message me for details about that. And Carla, something you want to share?
Well, I was just going to add my fourth thing for good of the order. I would just note that as you can see, Hannah and I are kind of scurrying around in the background, trying to do all this work to put these meetings on. We would love to have another person that is technical, that understands how to flip the switches and move the needles the way we do in the background. If anybody is available to kind of get onto the, meeting production crew, we would love your help. So let me know, let Hannah know, either of us. Again, we'd love to have some help.
Awesome. And we are planning, no details yet, but we're planning an event likely in early March for PCOs, a special event in person, to gather and kind of prepare for the year, and also talk about what the election will look like for PCOs later on this year. So more details to come on that, but there's nothing to mark your calendars for other than vaguely around early March. We're looking to do something for PCOs, so look forward.
A question, Graham.
Yeah.
This is Ann. What is happening in terms of planning for caucus and convention cycle?
Yeah, so just got an email from the state this week that I haven't had a chance to look at. So there is no caucus as they've been in the past. The state will run a process of selecting delegates, and there will be folks that can run to be delegates for the 34th. And I know Rachel is going to be, has already raised her hand to help recruit delegates. So we need to dig into the details that the state will provide or has provided, and I haven't been able to look at them yet, on kind of diversity and affirmative action requirements that we are going to seek to achieve so that we can ensure even greater representation for the 34th at the state convention. But that'll happen kind of in the March, April timeframe. And then with the convention coming up, we will be pulling together resolutions and rules amendments that we want to offer to the state convention. So more details to come from that, but there is no kind of caucus gathering as there had been previously.
Well, there will be, I assume, a district caucus.
There will be a opportunity for folks that want to be delegates to come and give a speech. That'll probably happen at a regular meeting, but there's no, that is the process.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Graham?
Yeah.
You said the next member meeting is February 21st?
Yes.
And the board meeting?
The next board meeting is January 17th.
No, I mean in February.
Oh, it would be the 28th then.
Okay, well, I can't get work to change my schedule, so I
Okay.
won't be able to attend either.
Okay, I'll follow up with you separately so we can talk
Okay.
about it. Hannah, how are we doing? Don't mean to bother you, but just.
All good. Sorry, it can take me a few minutes to get back and forth. I've got about like 5 desktops going right now.
Okay.
So in the results from the Senate endorsement vote of Maria Cantwell or no endorsement, Senator Maria Cantwell got 58% of the vote, which would not meet our threshold to secure our endorsement.
Okay. All right, so we will obviously reconsider that endorsement at a future meeting, whether there are other candidates to consider or Cantwell will be considered again. All right, well, we have a lot of work ahead of us in 2024. This meeting has demonstrated that a lot to do and to succeed and win in 2024, which is critical to democratic policy wins in the future. So look forward to seeing you all at our next meeting, and have a great rest of your evening. That I'll call this meeting to close, adjourn this meeting at 9:15 p.m.
Thanks. For
Thanks,
those of
Graham.
you Who were waiting to vote for candidates, the questionnaires for all offices should be approved by King County in February. So they should be available fairly soon. For those of you who want questionnaires to learn more about the candidates. So by the time
Just
we're
to be-
asked to endorse more, you'll all have plenty of opportunities to read the candidate statements.
But just to be clear, we will not be able to reconsider the US Senate race until August after the primary. I believe that is the way that it works from a bylaws perspective, right?
I think so, yeah, this is an endorsement for the primary that was that articulated tonight, that for the primary election, we are seeking to endorse? I would assume that.
And you're shaking your head.
Only.
And you're on mute.
No,
I know I was getting ready to leave the meeting. I will have to review the endorsement rules again, but I think Carla is right. If we did not endorse and the next election is the primary, that the next reconsideration would be
like post-primary.
After the primary.
Okay. Yeah, and by then, everybody will have their questions.
And we will clarify if that's wrong. So thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Graham. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Good night, and thank you.